Good morning, friends. Hello, 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 hello. Very excited to be here with you today with our special guest, Rushni, who is also known as Glamazini and has been known as Glamazini for 45 years on the internet. I don't know, since Al Gore started clicking the
Not the
buttons to create it.
45.
I don't
About.
know.
It's
I
about
don't,
45.
I don't, it's about, it's about 45.
Mhm.
I'm so excited because I was a fan back in the day. And here we are, still a fan. Here we are getting it all together. The world is tiny and we have connected and we are here. And we're talking to you today about whether you need to, whether it's time to get a job.
Is it time to get a job, y'all?
Is it time to get a job? Everyone's talking about jobs in one way or another. So we're talking about jobs today.
Mhm.
Before we get started, I want to say hi to everyone who's here. I see some people from my membership, Comfort, Amina, Cheryl, Jonquette. If you are watching this in the future, come in, say hi, let us know what you're doing, what you're up to. If you're watching it now, go ahead and give us a thumbs up. Say hello, say good morning in the comments. All right. The I'm gonna have to hand this part over, y'all, real quick, because is it time to get a job? To me, sounds like, is it time to take a step further into an inner circle of hell, like
Let's
deeper?
okay. Let me get you together because
You'll get me together because
I knew this was I
that's
just
where my
thought
brain is because of my
I know.
my trauma.
I know.
So
I know.
I'm gonna give it to you.
That's why I thought this conversation was gonna be so good to have
Okay.
specifically with you. Okay,
All
so
right.
let me give you the background. Okay. Well, first of all, hi you guys. I'm Rushni, also known as
Oh,
Glamazini.
yes.
Imma introduce me, okay?
Introduce
Hey.
yourself.
So
Introduce yourself.
right. I am a life coach, certified life coach, okay, as well as a content creator. I work with Black and West Indian women. That's what I do. I wanna talk to Rashida about this because everybody and their grandmama on the internet is in an uproar because our beloved Tabitha made a video that said it's time to get a job, okay? So let me give you the quick, fast trajectory for everybody if they don't know what I'm talking about, and then I think it's gonna be a beautiful discussion specifically with Rashida and specifically for the women in this community, right? So earlier this week, I'm scrolling through the internet and I see Tab put up one of her TSA videos. And in the video, I wrote down what she said. She said, "It's time to get a job, baby. Ain't a thing wrong with getting a job." This is in her caption. "You can work while you work on your ideas." Right? It was a short video. She basically said it wasn't directed to any specific group of people. It was not, although people have kind of taken up groups of people in their discussion. All Tab said was, "Listen, I know you working the dream, but right now the dream ain't working. You got people calling you, you owe them money." Like you can go get a job and basically supplement what you're doing as a business owner until the dream works. You know what I mean? Like work, get some extra money, boo boo. Like don't be out here not paying your rent and having the creditors calling your house. That's what Tab said. I even went back and rewatched the video, Rashida, because I was like, why is everybody upset? So I saw that, and because of my trauma, like you said, and people slinging get a job at me like a weapon, I just smiled and thought, I mean, that makes sense. And I went about my business. Next, I saw a podcast pop up. There was a man and a woman. They were talking about entrepreneurship and they were very much in agreement with Tab. Very like, go get a job, you guys. Like, this is true. If you can't pay your bills, if your business ain't bringing in 6, 7 figures, it ain't a business. Get out of here, get a job. And I was like, hmm, giving very much capitalism. Right? And I scrolled past. I wrote my notes. I don't forget. Then I saw a bunch of like videos popping up. Should Black women get a job? Should Black women get a job? And it was all over the place. People were very upset. Then Stephanie, you're Stephanie, where's Stephanie? Stephanie Parrish. She put up a video and she was like talking about Tabitha's point and the fact that there's another thing happening that I had no idea about called the Great Lock-in, where somebody suggested that through the end of the year, Black women lock in on their dreams, their visions, their endeavors, right? And now this conversation is everywhere, okay? My understanding of why there was an uproarious um, response to the get a job convo is because from the beginning of this year through now, over 300,000 Black women have exited the labor force, right? So, for reasons, right? They're getting rid of all the places that we tend to show up, helpful places, community aid places. They're getting rid of it. They're cutting federal jobs, them good jobs that all of us were told to go get.
Some
Them
good
suckers
government
are
jobs, some
good,
good
good,
government
good, good with the benefits, okay?
jobs.
And then I read an article that said also we have a tendency to succumb to what they call a network gap, which is most people get a job because they know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. And unfortunately, in this game that we are playing called capitalism, we don't always have the strongest network to know somebody, to know somebody, to know somebody. So, Black women specifically, some, I saw some who were like, this is a normal conversation to be having, who cares? And others were very upset because they thought that Tab's video was tone deaf, right? Like, how do I go get a job right now when they ain't got no jobs to go get and they're laying all of us off? So does that make sense, Rashida? What it
No,
just it went
it makes sense. Anytime someone says something on the internet, it's going to get picked up by people who are taking it wild, like crazy. So I'm up to speed on the Great Lock-in because I'm doing a version of it now, and I've been doing a version of it, so we can talk about that. But saying if your business isn't making 6 or 7 figures, it's not a business is wild.
it was a I saw a podcast. I didn't get through the whole podcast. I'm real stealthy on the internet. I slide in, I listen until something sounds like it messes with my spirit, and then I leave. And they were very like capitalist, work the system. If it's not working to that level, then you just need to go get a job. And I was like, fascinating. And then I just left.
Listen, I feel like if the profit you can make from your business can buy you a bag of chips,
Listen, that's
that's a
fine.
business. That's a business, right? You probably don't need 7 figures. What are you doing with seven? What are you doing
Okay.
with 7 figures a year? Hmm? What are,
Working
what are you
working the game.
what are you doing with it besides taking yourself on vacation because you're stressed from working 7 figures worth of work a year? Any hoodle, any hoodle. Just a thought. Uh, okay, so I get what Tabitha's saying. Perhaps in 2025, Tabitha has not done a great job of positioning herself in a way that Black women are really as open to hearing what she is saying as they used to be.
Well,
Perhaps.
that's absolutely part of it. I was like, y'all really getting annoyed with Tab for everything nowadays. And it started with the boycott stuff.
Hmm.
And so I don't think that she meant it that way, but I definitely can see how it was heard by some that way.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah,
complicated.
it's complicated. It's complicated. Um, perhaps also, perhaps
Khadijah
also,
said, I love Tab, but this is strike two. Y'all
too.
holding Tab. Y'all got strikes.
Um, I
Tab, if you
think
watch this, I love you. Okay.
love you, have
I do.
talked to you, have shared space with you,
Listen.
enjoy you.
Mhm.
Perhaps some of the disconnect is talking as if you're one of us, but not quite appearing to be one of us in some ways.
Say more.
Um, we all know Tabitha's done pretty well for herself, right? Over the past, like, I don't know the numbers, right? But like she appears to be doing really well for herself. So y'all need to get a job. Sounds like without watching, I've not watched the video without because
Mhm.
I'm not watching the video about getting a job. I'm not doing
You listen, I didn't make it through the whole video the first time either, Rashida.
that.
Truth, real talk, before the internet blew up. Video popped up. I said, "Ooh, Tab, let me see what Tab about to tell me." Tab started telling me get a job. And like I said, in my own traumas,
Mhm.
I heard about a good 2/3 of that video and I said, "I got what you meant, Tab." And I just scrolled on by. I was like, that's enough of that.
I I think that another way to approach this is, y'all, I got to go get a job. But that doesn't seem to be what the messaging was. It sounds like the messaging was, y'all need jobs. And that's where I mean that, like, when you're talking to your audience, it helps if there's a connection. Like if you're solving a problem together, you're both feeling the same pain, right? If you're not feeling the pain I'm feeling, the I ain't got a job feeling, or like my business isn't working, something's wrong, I don't necessarily want you preaching at me about what to do, right? Maybe it's when I was, and I saw, like I said, I didn't see the video. Maybe if it's when I was in that position, I got a job and and this is how I used the job to get out of that kind of stagnant position. But if that's not what the messaging was, that I think that's what I mean by there may be a disconnect between Tabitha and her audience. And so when saying it around things like that, around things like money, around things like types of work, that it doesn't always come across as, it may not come across as authentic, is my best guess hearing by hearing what you're saying about the video.
I I didn't even think about that, but I think you're right. Okay, so I had another thing that I was gonna say, I'll say it later. I think you're right. I think that and I'm coming up with this because I think that Tab now speaks to us from a place that she didn't start speaking to us. She felt like a peer. I started following Tabitha before the TTLA sandwich situation on Facebook. I just saw a woman, I liked her vibe. She was out there talking about vegetarian something. I'm not vegetarian something, but I will easily follow somebody just because I like them. I just like to be around certain people's vibe, okay? And in those moments, she felt like a peer. I think you're onto something because I do believe that part of the yeah, you be onto stuff. You know what I'm saying? You be hitting the stuff. Um, I do believe that part of why it sounded that way, like it ricocheted in people's brains that way, is I don't think Tat, although her brand, which is something I'm gonna talk about later, because I'm gonna talk about Brandon, her brand is you and I, we are the same. I think, like you said, we all can see now that like we are not the same. Okay. And so it sounds like she's talking down, I don't wanna say down, but, like, down to a group of people who are having an entirely different experience with,
Mhm.
like, a sense of I don't know what the word is, like, a lack of understanding for the lived experience of, for example, 300,000 Black women
Mhm.
who last year were on a high, fell on their faces, and now a few months later might be struggling to pay their rent.
Mhm.
Um, I didn't even think about that. I think she has changed positions in our minds when she's saying things to us, and I don't know if she has it doesn't seem like she has clocked that her position and when she's talking has shifted. And if I'm being honest, that would be hard for me to do because I am
Mhm.
very friend in my head when I'm talking to people on the
Mhm.
internet. It would be hard for me if I blew up like that. To realize that I can't just be like friend in my head because I'm friend in my head, but let me go, jump into my $3 million house and also go get another house in another city and my 8 businesses with the $1 million, but y'all get a job. I didn't even think about that.
Yep. But that doesn't, okay, so I don't want to I don't want to think that we're here attacking Tab because that's not the
No,
point.
no, it's just, we're talking about the specific video, and she was the
Yes.
impetus for the video. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily her, it's just the conversation that's being had.
Um, I think that it's easy to have, like you said, to have these conversations and not realize how a big chunk of your audience is perceiving you. But I think that I don't think she comes to it with any ill will, right? I think this is all accidental.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
had a couple strikes this year, as Larissa said.
I was
Um,
like, "She keeping tabs."
but okay, so but let's talk about whether it's time. It's time
Yeah, yeah.
to get a job. Let's talk about it. What are your thoughts?
Okay, so once again, I think it's complicated, and I think it really this is what I was gonna say earlier. For me, Imma talk about me personally. I've noticed that I have moved from one mindset that I was given growing up to something else. I'm trying to figure out the name. If the name exists, somebody tell me in the comments. I grew up on what I call the conveyor belt.
Mhm,
That's capitalism to me. I didn't call it that growing up, but it's, you go to school, you get your degree, you get your undergraduate degree, you get a potentially a master's or something else. You start a business, you check the boxes in life and you win the prizes, right? I saw women before me doing that, and some of them did okay, some of them did not, and it was just like a lesson learned to me to go down the capitalist machine
mhm,
and check the boxes and win the prizes. And I did not have that experience, right? I did the best I could until a certain point, and, I was coming asunder, and I jumped off the conveyor belt, right? And I feel like on the other side of that is something like a communal or like a mutual or people who aren't trying to adhere to a capitalist system. Does that make sense? And so I think the question of whether you wanna get a job or not is based in what are you actually trying to do? Who are you actually trying to be? Like, because there are people who are just trying to work the system and get their prizes. And they have no intention of actually extricating themselves and leaving this system,
mhm,
doing something different, right? I believe most of the women who listen to your page and even like my page, we have a tendency to be trying to forge a different path, not necessarily get up every morning, go to a job for someone else, work on somebody else's vision, wait till we retire, and then travel when we're older. And you know what I mean? Like that set line of things. So the once again, it's complicated because I'm seeing this conversation on the internet about should we get a job? Should we get a job? Should we get and I was like, it depends on what you are trying to do. If you're trying to work for the man every night and day, right? And you're trying to like adhere to the capitalist messaging, stay in the system and work the system hoping that the system don't work you, I can see why people would say, "Go get a job."
mhm,
I would see why people would want to do the 9 to 5. Now, I don't wanna knock the 9 to 5, listen, because there's a piece in that paycheck hitting every couple weeks. There's a piece in it, and I'm not saying I would never go back to a job, but the Rushni that would go back to a job right now, Rashida, would not be the Rushni that was at the job before. The Rushni that was at the job before was depressed, miserable, and thought that was all she had. I felt like I was trapped, and I had no other way of generating any income. If I went back to the job, ironically, it would be what Tabitha said. It would be to stack my papers. I would be in there thinking, "Y'all got a hot year or 2 of me saving money," and then I'd be exiting again. So the answer to the question is, what you trying to do? Like, are you trying to stay here and work for the man? Because if your plan for life is, I got 25 more years at this potentially miserable, toxic job, because a lot of Black women, that's the other thing that nobody's talking about. A lot of Black women, the go get a job environment is so harmful for us. It's not the same, right?
mhm,
These systems aren't set up for our mental health and our physical health and none of this. So if your intention is stay in the system, I got 15, 25, 30 more years, then a 9 to 5 might be your portion. But there are also other ways to generate income and pay for your well-being. And oftentimes, we don't even realize that some of these ways could be more lucrative. Yes, I'm not saying you got to do six figures, although ain't nobody going to tell me not to take the six figures if I make it. I'm going to take it, right? But we don't even have the opportunity to think the thoughts otherwise. And so that's my thought on that. Should I go get a job? I personally prefer not to. Would I go do it? Yes. In that hybrid way that Tabitha was explaining, I would go intentionally and strategically get a position. I would stack my papers and I will always live a life, Rashida, where I'm working on my thing. There is
Okay.
no Rushni that's not working on her thing. There is
Okay.
no Rushni that's not generating money, putting my story out into the world. She doesn't exist anymore.
What about the people who don't have a thing, right? They don't want a thing. They don't have a thing. They don't want a
Okay.
thing.
Yeah, you said don't have, and the first thought I had was that doesn't exist. But then when you said they don't want, I'm like, well, that's different, right? Want is whether or not you actually want to do it. I would never tell anybody they have to be an entrepreneur. That's in the same way that I would never tell anybody they have to go get a job. I wouldn't dictate to another human being how they show up in their one lived life. Okay. My coaching, I have landed on my brand relatively clearly. I am helping Black and West Indian women create lives that they love while I'm doing the same. If you like it, I love it. If you are happy, the system, listen, if the system is going to exist, somebody got to be working the system. I don't I am not a person that's happy in those spaces. I am miserable and it's almost like I'm allergic. Like something in me dies. And I don't wanna say that and make it sound so dramatic, but I do believe that there are some people who are not wired to fit into those systemic type of spaces. I guess somebody is, and if that is what they want, that's fine and dandy. But I don't believe that there isn't anybody that you said, "What if they don't have a way to make money?" I don't think that that exists. I think
No.
what we have more is Black women who don't know what they have to make money. Like, they don't know what they
Yes.
actually have.
But as of today, not knowing what you have to make money is the equivalent of not having a way to make money.
Say it again?
Not knowing what the way is the same as not having a way. At the end of the day, you're not making money. You don't have a side thing to make money, right?
No,
If
you can
I
learn
don't
it.
know how I can make money today, I don't have a way of making money today. For me, it's the
That's
same.
real deep and existential, but I also think you can learn it. I was a person who
Yes.
has one of my deepest traumas. My biggest traumatic thing said to me out loud growing up is artists don't make money.
Mhm.
It broke something inside of my brain. I think something inside of me knew that I was inherently a creative and an artist. And in saying that to me, it like made me think that there was nothing I had to put out into the world that was valuable enough to get a return on it. And it stopped. It just broke my brain. And I went into the system. I got the degree and I was at one of the top schools and I got the job and the sob and the good corporate job with the benefits. And I started dying inside. And something in me said, there has to be a different way to exist on this planet. This cannot be. Like, and let me tell you something, Rashida. Nobody around me was telling me this. Everyone around me was telling me, go get a job. Just stay in a good job. So the messaging was not external. The messaging was not, and nobody was championing me to do something different. I knew there was some other way to generate income, I knew it. So I started to become curious and look for it. And over the
Mhm.
years, I have done such a thing to the point that I am talking to people like you and you see what I'm saying? Like, you gotta become curious. You gotta surround yourself with people who tell you how to create the life that you want to live and not necessarily the pre-cut life that Black women are told they have to live. Because I think a lot of times the system will ride up on our back. Okay. I'm always saying you trying to ride the system when the system is built to ride you. and especially Black women, we always are being told to build, build everybody else's thing. Don't pay attention to what you have. What you have is not that valuable unless I need to extract. Oh, you know what else? Capitalism is about extracting.
Mhm.
Take, and bounce out before you get got. Okay? I feel I'm gonna call it communalism. I don't know what the word is, but like a different way of thinking, a more mutual way of thinking is not about taking, it's about giving. It's about bringing what you have to the marketplace. You know, Marissa and I have been talking about this marketplace metaphor and exchanging what you have with other people. And that is happening even here online. If I have value and I know how to do something, make something, teach you something, whatever it is, change something within you, then I have something of value to bring to the marketplace. And oftentimes capitalism is about extracting from Black women until we are like dust on the ground, struggling. And I think that there's always a different option. Anybody who's even listening to this video, if they've never contemplated, if they're in a job they hate, if they're trying to start a business, it's not working, if they're whatever's happening, um, I think Stephanie always quotes the rest. Another way is possible. And I'm gonna say that I have had to teach myself when nobody was telling me this, how to find the voices telling me another way is possible. And it is.
Yes, I think another way is possible, but I don't know that you're saying this, but I just want to be touch on this a little bit.
Mhm.
I think that the extractive nature of capitalism grinds Black women down, whether they are an employee or an entrepreneur. It's still there,
True.
right? And so I think that for a lot of people, what they need to decide is, do they have a strong preference one way or another?
Mm.
Me, it's not even a preference at this point. It's a survival mechanism. I can't go back to nobody's job. I can't go back to another person's job. And so I have to make money on my own, right? That's, like I said, my trauma. I don't know I'll ever be able to get past that trauma because I can't go into a business and stack for a year. Because at this point, like I said last week on my video, I can feel the spirit of Naomi Campbell growing inside of me.
What spirit? When she hit somebody with the phone? What happened?
Yes, that
Oh,
that I can feel it. I feel her coming alive in the workplace. And I don't feel that when I run my own business, right? Like, and so I know that's not something I can do anymore because I don't belong in jail. So not that anyone does, blah 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 blah. You know.
I think listen, that's what I was saying though. It depends on who you are.
Yes.
The answer to the question, should you
Yeah.
go get a job? Should
Mhm.
you go take a career break? Should you go start a business? Should you do some mixture of both? It depends
Mhm.
on who you are and what you are trying to create. It really does. My main coping mechanism of choice back in the day was dissociation. Okay. I could check all the way out, Rashida. And that's why I'd be able to go work somebody's job right now. Because when I tell you I would just activate my powers for good, okay? When I tell you I would be the most incredible employee for a hot 1 year while I was that so I know what you're saying, but, like, that's why you're seeing 2 people.
Yes.
I would be able to go in there and just be in my head having conversations with my head while people were saying stuff to me and just check in to make sure the check had cleared on my phone and have my exit strategy. That would be me personally.
Right. Right. And everyone is gonna have different things that work for them. Um, do you have any suggestions slash ideas about how if someone's unsure if entrepreneurship, if they're in a job right now and they're looking at the job market and they're looking at their company or they're looking at the government and being like, I think I know I have 30 minutes, right? They're like, right? I
Mhm.
sees it coming, right? They see it coming down the tracks. Do you have an idea of like how someone can figure out whether entrepreneurship would be for them or whether they should just be looking for another job that may not exist at this point?
That's a good question. Whether entrepreneurship is for them. You said something earlier that has to be elevated, which is it's not that working a job is full misery and entrepreneurship is full like nirvana. Both are still existing in a capitalist system, right? We're not entrepreneurs, even people that are trying to do it a different way, we aren't there yet. We exist in the system. And so it's like you have to decide like which one of these feels more aligned with you, which one of these are you willing to um which negatives are you willing to deal with, right? Because one set of negatives is going to feel much more aligned. If the
Mhm.
9 to 5 version of it is crushing your spirit and you can feel the life. And I think people who are listening to me who have this feeling know it. I've heard other people feel say this. It's like you could feel your life force draining out of your body. That could be one sign that you might not be built for that. Okay. The other thing that came to mind when you said it was a few years ago, I was in a hotel room. I read the book The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, and it was talking about upper limit problems, and it really like rearranged something in my brain. And I love when certain resources like do something that is long lasting. And I left that hotel room and I heard this voice in my head say, Rushni, you're making too much of a big deal about money. Money is just the energy of value transfer.
Mhm.
And since then, I have walked around because I have money trauma. Remember, artists don't make money. Artists don't make money. This thing that was just a deep root in my brain.
Mhm.
And I have been and continue to shift my relationship with money out of a capitalist perspective and into a more easeful and simplified perspective, right? All it is what do I have of value? And people exchange what we call money for it's an exchange of value, right? So if for a person who feels the life force draining out of them, if you can acknowledge that's the first thing that you might not be built for this space. And like Rashida said, you only got 30, I got 30 minutes. Um, I would ask you to sit down and genuinely ask yourself, what do I have of value that other people would exchange money for? One of the indications is what do they already ask you for? Like, I had to do this with myself. I was making
Mhm.
a big deal in places thinking that there were right and wrong ways to start a business. And like I told you, the podcast I heard, they were like, if it ain't 6 figures, you just hang it up. And that's not true. Um, because for the life I was creating, I had to sit and be like, am I missing places where I add value? Right. And if you are a person in a space that you hate, a job that you hate, and you know that you got to get out, where do you already add value? What are people already asking you for? Is there a way to change that relationship of doing these things for people for free to a transaction? That's the simplest thing. You don't even have
Right.
to start it yet. You just have to contemplate it. I know that when I started asking myself that question, there were several places where, I mean, people were just knocking at the door. Content is the first thing. Until this year, I was not charging anybody any money to explain to them how I do what I do on the internet as a content creator, how I make money doing any of this. I was just doing it. And I sat down early this year, and I was like, what do people ask me a lot of questions about? And a lot of people are like, how are you doing this video stuff? How are you running this content business? How are you editing your videos? What is the business strategy behind this? How are you this? And I was like, oh, so I have started offering that and it's actually going very well. So those are the two things. One, ask yourself if you're a person that feels like you're dying and if you actually need to contemplate something
Mhm.
else. And then two, what do you already have of value? Is there some way before you even implement it? I'm not even saying do it. I'm saying just think about it. And if you find something that feels easeful and peaceful, then you can go to another step.
Mhm. Um, at the same time,
Mhm.
to be a little contrary, which I'm usually not, but we're gonna do this anyway. There is there is some thought into whether you want to monetize the things that you enjoy, right? Because that then turns them, that can frequently turn them from something you enjoy to
Mhm.
something that feels more like a burden.
Right.
But for the right price.
Which was me. No, you listen, you preaching to the president. I'm not only a client, I'm the president, okay? Part
Mhm.
of the reason why I wasn't making money back in the day is exactly what you said. I was living in active holy hell in a job I hated. The life I was living in sucked, and my one place of escape was online. It was my place, my playground. It was my expressive place. And I didn't want to monetize it. When I first started doing all these things back in the day, I refused to monetize. I refused. I was like, I will not. I look back on it now and I'm like, part of me realizes that I'm not saying you have to monetize everything. Absolutely don't. There are plenty of things in my life that nobody pays me money for, and I do them with wild abandon and full glee. But if you want to eat, you know what I mean? Like, and you want to actually, not have to go to a 9 to 5 or a job that might be a toxic environment for you. You can pick something. Um, One of the things that I realized is back in the day, the reason why I was so averse to monetizing my content was because it was the only place I felt playful and joyful and expressive in my life. So I was guarding it with wild abandon and I had money trauma. Nowadays, I have expanded that feeling of joy and playfulness and light to so many other parts of my life. Does that make sense? So I don't feel like I have to
Yeah.
guard this one place as a place of expression as much. That's my own story. Because when you just said that,
Mhm.
I was like, "Oh, girl, that was me." I literally was like, "I'm not monetizing this. I'm not selling anybody anything. It feels disingenuous." That was me. But nowadays, it's like the light has expanded so much in my life, and I've created a life that feels so much more aligned with me. And I don't feel like I'm only expressing myself. I don't feel like I'm crushing myself in every other area of my life, showing up inauthentically. And so this is the only place that I want to guard from the evil, you know, capitalist monster machine. That was my brain. Also, you don't have to monetize everything you love. I'm not saying everything. I'm saying you do get to make money doing something you love. So the idea, which is another thing I had to free myself from, I thought that to make money, I had to hate it. Because when somebody tells a child that artists don't make money, my brain said that means the only way for me to make money is I gotta not like what I'm doing. And so
Mhm.
I would literally go toward jobs I didn't like. It was like the harder the struggle, the more it aligned. I don't know, because I'm not thinking that
Which
anymore.
is a very common money theory that like it's hard to make money and if it feels good, you're not going to make money. And like it like the money has to come with the struggle. And I was once again not put on this planet to struggle. Right?
I have been finding out I'm talking about it real I had a thing happen earlier this year. I'm not gonna go into it because it was a little like a dream that was lucid that I was in and I was having a conversation. It was a whole thing. And I came out that thing, and since then, I have been making more money every month. My brain snapped in a way, and
Mhm.
it was the approach to the thought process, and one of the things that is still being broken off of me is that struggle mentality. I really feel that we are given the okey doke so that we don't understand who we are. Like, once I started realizing who I was, what I was here to do, and what I brought to the marketplace, like,
Mhm.
what I brought to the marketplace. The money has started coming in. I was just having a I
Mhm.
went to acupuncture yesterday, right? And I was talking to my acupuncturist. I've been working with her for a few years on a lot of different things. And she and I were talking about the fact because she's also been working with me about money blocks, okay? Because I'm gonna use all the different things to get me where I need to be. And I was telling her what's happening this year is almost unreal. And it's almost like I feel like all of this money, these opportunities and, like, larger opportunities are, like, hovering over me. They're, like, right there, and she was like, "Yeah, remember when you started with me a couple years ago, couple 3 years ago? You were like, 'They're not coming, period.'"
Mhm.
And part of what I did, Rashida, was started thinking, "What is the easiest way to do this? What is
Mhm.
the most pleasurable way to do this?" If this feels like struggle,
Mhm.
maybe this is not what I should be
Yeah.
pursuing because why am I building
Mhm.
a avenue to support myself that feels the same way that a sucking toxic job is? And
Mhm.
I have to actively tell myself not to do that because my natural bent is to go toward the struggle. That's the programming that I've had my whole life. But
Mhm.
like you said, I'm not here to be struggling. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
here. I'm here to be easeful. I like how this feels better. And ironically, or serendipitously, or purposely, I'm making more money doing it this way.
Mhm. I would say I would guess that Miss Stephanie Perry would say that the bend towards struggle, the idea that struggle and money are hand in hand is just another fruit of a slavery tree, right?
Well,
We had to listen. There was some conditioning that had to happen the hard way. That conditioning came at a big cost and price, right? In order to make us believe that if you want to be successful, you just need to work harder. The fact that your hard work is going to enrich somebody else is not your business. Don't worry about that. You
that
might get
part.
another nickel at the end of the year, right? You might. Um, oh, yeah, she's here. I don't want to misquote her. But yes, the idea that we have to work hard for something is is not inherent, right? We don't grow up when we're kids, we're like, this is supposed to be easy. And then, right, the conditioning happens. But speaking of not working hard, something I want to go back to real quick that happened in the chat. Boop, boop, boop. Y'all look at this. Hold on, wait, it's not coming. Come on. Here we go. K. Kanatania's Creations says, my financial struggle as an entrepreneur is much more enjoyable than the one I had working for a boss. Great comment, but that's not why we're talking about this. Y'all know this is Kay the Hustle Queen? Y'all know, but this right here is Kay the Hustle Queen, who we've been talking about for weeks because she was like, I'm tired of hustling, but had hustle in her name. And now she has changed her name. And I think that's the first step to putting the hustle behind her. Kay, I am so proud of you. I saw that and I was like, is that my girl? Is that my girl being responsive, right? And claiming the things that are hers and leaving the things that are not, like the hustle behind? Yes. Yes. That's the first step, right? The first step. So proud of you, Kay. So proud of you. Something else I just saw in the comments was boop, boop, boop. Yes, give Kay her props because she on it. Who was that? Oh, Tasha Thornton said, why do we only ask about monetization when we want a business? I exchange my gifts for money at a job. With a business, I get a bigger share of the profits. With a job, I get the same salary. Yes, and I would
Mhm.
say yes, and specifically, Roshni was talking about doing something she loves for money. I would probably say that when 80% of us go to work, we're not doing something we love. We're doing something we tolerate. So that's why I was talking about monetizing the things that bring you joy. When I was a lawyer, I could do it. It did not bring me joy. Laying on the couch and eating snacks brings me joy, right?
Which you could
Listen,
monetize if you were a content creator. You could
I
stream yourself laying on the couch eating snacks.
I would also possibly do a lot. Listen, to not get a job, I would be like, who wants a cuddle buddy? You can't touch me. I don't even want you talking to me.
I've thought about the cuddle buddy thing, but it
Did
kinda
you?
grosses me out. Like, the concept in a larger physical touch is one of my love languages. So, like, the
Oh,
concept in a larger sense makes sense, but then, like, I get to the practical, like, are they clean? Will they murder me? I don't want it.
where are we cuddling? Like, do I have to go to your couch, your bed? Is it a safe space like a
There's a
hotel? Like,
lot
what are we?
going on, yeah.
There's a lot going on. But yes, yes, I would not monetize that because now all of a sudden I got to be like, is this person gonna kill me? Right?
Yeah.
As
You
opposed
gotta
to just
do that when you're
thinking,
younger and you're unaware. When you get older and you start knowing that people snuff you out, you'll be like, "I can't even relax."
I can't. Now you all relax and sleep, and I got to hear you.
You
I got to creep
asleep
out. I got to
and you're
creep out, so I
funky.
can
You're funky.
dive
I
and
didn't
get you.
sign up for this. Yeah.
And you signed up for a cuddle buddy, but now you want more.
Yeah, now things are happening. Yeah, you trying to is this an octopus? I don't want it. Yeah, my brain really went with the when I heard it the first time, I was like, "Oh, what an amazing idea." And then I was like then all the details started coming in and I was like, no."
No,
Yeah.
no. But to not get a job, if I needed a job, I don't know. I'd be looking for pay pigs. I would be out here like, how
So,
can
I was at Exodus Move Abroad Money, okay? I got the replays and I saw all them phone sets. I still have my notes. Do you hear me? I
yes.
have my notes from the feet pick situation, and if push
Mhm.
came to shove I'm listen. All right.
Because my trauma says I would rather sell pics of my feet. I would rather denigrate a man I would like to denigrate a man any day. Who ready?
You would
For
be
some cash?
amazing. That whole, like, FinDom pay pig thing, you
Sign me
would
up.
be
Sign me
stellar.
up.
I'm not gonna
I
say that
will
I
tell
know
you
somebody
great
who's
shit.
in that world,
Oh,
okay, and I might be helping them with their business strategy,
oh,
but if I
okay.
ever get I told you, people have been asking me for help this year, and I've been like, "Listen, let's help. What do you need? You need a sales funnel? Let me help you with that." And I do know somebody who is actually trying to get into that world, and I have been helping them. So I'm just saying, you, Rashida, you would be amazing in like FinDom, like financial domination. I'm not joking. I'm like,
I, and I'm
like
serious. I would
dominating men to give you money. It'd be
yeah,
amazing. You'd be
before I got a
amazing.
job, I would be
Mhm.
like, Joe,
You get straight to the money. You don't even have to
let's
like the whole point is get money. So it's yeah. Anyway, so
off topic
we'll
again.
talk offline.
But I'm not going back to the workforce. But I do think so. Exodus Summit, you talked about Exodus Summit 2022, and we're getting ready for Exodus Summit 2025, which is more move abroad money because women still need money. And I think that's the part of the conversation when you describe what Tab was saying. To be fair, like I said, I didn't watch it. The part of the conversation that is missing for me is not that you need a job; it's you need money, right?
You
Let's
need
back it up a
money.
second. You need
Right.
money. If you don't have a job, if you had that good government job for 20 years and you ain't got it no more, you don't really give a damn where the money's coming from. You need money, right? And if those jobs aren't hiring because the 300,000 jobs, 311,000 jobs that black
Last
women
I heard
lost,
was
white men picked up
318.
365,000. 318, yes, 318 is the number. All the sorry, this ain't working out, just went to like, you know, Barrington Smith III now has your job and he don't even know how to do it. Right. And to your point earlier, Roshni, you said something about like how art networks can be limited. I would say that nobody knows somebody who knows something about something like Black women, but our limitation is our network isn't usually in the position of power, right? We
That's what
may
I'm
have a
saying.
couple
It's not
of
we
people,
have
yeah,
the network,
we have the
and we
network.
need
Our
to
network
use the
is vast.
networks that we
Yes.
have in the ways that we have them.
Mhm.
But we don't necessarily always have the network in place in those power positions in the capitalist
Yes.
structure, which is why we
Yes.
can't, come in and fiddle faddle like everybody else. But we have
Mhm.
the networks that still can bring the value and still help us get money. We just have to continually create it. It's like we're
Yeah.
building the foundation for each other the way that we do it, as opposed to the way that it's done in that system.
Mhm. Um, let's talk about how Black women, like I said, Exodus Summit 2025, more move abroad money, exodussummit.com. Hi, friends. Hi, friends. Come on down. Because we're talking about different ways that Black women can make money.
Mhm.
Um, one of the things we're not talking about is maybe positioning yourself within branding. I'm just going to put it branding. And you are doing something with branding soon, right?
Mhm. Yes, ma'am. Marissa Price
Talk
and
about it.
I are putting on a workshop this Saturday.
Ooh, Saturday already? Child,
Yeah, it's
what is
Saturday the
time?
13th. We are coming together to help anybody, honestly, but Black women, learn how to make money from anywhere online.
Okay. So when you say learn, one of the things that Black women do a good job of, but could also do a better job of, is being discerning about when something is for them and when something is not for them. And especially in situations where they may feel some desperation or strong feelings about something, like a strong urge. I think that um, it's easy to fall for like the scam or the sales pitch that isn't really for you. So we're not going to leave it at just how to make money. Give us more. Give
Okay,
us more, a
so
little bit more.
one, before I go into we have a masterclass on Saturday. I'm gonna tell you about it in a second. You're right. I have a coaching client right now, an in person, like I go to her physically in the city. And I had to tell her to stop grabbing different opportunities, like coaching things, and like
Hmm.
discern and implement. Because
Hmm.
like you said, sometimes she was doing a lot of that, and a lot of them were very misaligned, and it was just not. Okay, so
Hmm.
anyway, Marissa Price and I are both, healing enthusiasts, healing advocates out here on the internet. We actually met through Exodus. I think she was a speaker in one of
Hmm.
your sessions one time, and I was
Yeah.
just drawn to Marissa. Anyway, since then, we have realized, 1, I'm in St. Louis, she's from St. Louis, we've met in person, she sat right next to me. I have a video with her sitting right next to me. It's amazing, she's great, okay? And she actually lives abroad because of you guys, and she reached out to me and she said, "I wanna do a beginner-friendly masterclass aimed at Black women, aimed at healing and ease, but teaching them how to start. Like, where do you start to build your online brand and be able to make money online from anywhere?" And she was like, "Would you do that
Hmm.
with me?" And I was like, "Bet." Because like I told you, this year specifically, something in my whole mindset and the mindset approach shifted. It changed how I was approaching generating money in these spaces, and I've been getting results, okay? So this Saturday, September the 13th at, let's see, 12 p.m. Eastern, we have an hour-long masterclass. It is called From Passion to Profit: Build Your Online Brand to Generate Income from Anywhere. And it's very beginner friendly. And we are going to teach how to, one, what is entrepreneurship? I'm gonna take some time and talk about how to clarify your brand and why it's so important to hone in your brand. As a person who's been on the internet for a very long time, as a person who's been seeing trying, as a person who's been out here busting her head all over the place, okay, I finally have a much more crystal clear way of knowing what my brand entails, why it is useful in telling my story, how my story actually impacts how I show up on the internet, and what value I bring to the marketplace, which is my offer, right? And so I'm going to talk about simple ways to identify and clarify what your brand is, who you're talking to, why you're talking to them, what you're telling them, and what is the value that
Hmm.
you can bring so that you can generate money, right? I told you I had that aha a few years ago where I was making this big to do in my brain about money. And I realized, no, it's the energy of value transfer. And the more that I've sat in that, the more I've actually been able to generate money. And then after that, Marissa is going to come in and talk about simple systems that you can use to help your brand move forward. Um, Things like funnels, things like marketing. If you saw the first job, well, this one too, but the very first job liberation summit with her and Dr. Kamani, I reached out to Marissa after and I was like, "Who did your marketing?" Because that was amazing. It was like, you know, when a movie launches and you open your phone or and the thing is everywhere. I felt like I opened my phone. Job Liberation Summit was everywhere. Okay, I opened the shower curtain and there was a bar of soap in there that said Job Liberation Summit. And I was like, "Who did
Hmm.
that?" And Marissa was like, "Oh, it was me." I was like, "Wait a minute." So she's gonna talk about simple systems for marketing, simple systems for like sales funnels, things that can get you started without all the hullabaloo, because I believe that a lot of times when you don't know how to make money online, especially Black women, we like to do stuff in excellence. We like to make things complicated. I love to make things complicated, and I have found that the simpler I make it, the more likely it is that I enjoy it and that I am adding value and that I am making money. And then after that, after the workshop, we have an opportunity to upgrade um, for what we're calling VIP hot seat coaching. We're sending out a questionnaire this week to ask the people who upgrade for some background on their brand and what they have already. And then following the workshop, there's another um, Zoom call that we'll be on doing hot seat coaching with all the VIP ladies. And so I think there's 8 or 9 of the VIP spots left. Most people are actually getting the VIP spots. Um, I have been having a blast this year doing content and brand coaching with women online. Like I told you, I neglected to realize that people wanted that from me. I don't know how, because it's something I've been doing, and it's like I know it like the back of my hand. And even recently, I had a one-on-one, uh, social media and business coaching client that did 1 call with me, a couple probably like earlier last month. 1 call. "What do you want to happen?" "I want more people coming in my sales funnel." "How is it happening right now?" "Nobody's coming in my sales funnel." "Got it." Sat down, cut out the noise with her, 1 call. A few weeks later, she's also in my coaching membership. She comes on the coaching membership thing, and she was just like, "Go to my LinkedIn immediately." I go to her LinkedIn, post going viral. Totally different post than she would have done before. Post going viral. I said, "Bet, that's nice." Okay, she had her stuff in there. People were coming in. She said, "No, no, not that one. Scroll down." I said, "Oh, okay." Scroll down. Previous post going even more viral. She was like, "Girl, I did exactly what you told me. You changed something in my brain." Oh my
Mm.
god. I said, "Are there people in your sales funnel?" She said, "Yes, and even somebody booked something." So, we're gonna teach simple beginner steps for that, and then we have the opportunity for the hot seat, and that's Saturday. It's important. You don't have to start everything from scratch. That's the other thing I wanna say, and I know you believe this wholeheartedly, Rashida. One of the value that you bring to the table is when you get something and information, you share it because you're trying to liberate Black women from who want to exodus, basically, who want to choose something different, who want to leave something that whatever, right? I believe the same thing. Um, Once I know how to do something, my value that I bring to the marketplace in this particular conversation is I have been a content creator for years. I have even started making money in new ways this year because I realized, oh, Freshly, you ain't new to this, you true to this. Like I do this like the back of my hand. So if women would like to work with Marissa and I, From Passion to Profit is happening this Saturday, the 13th, 12 p.m. EST. It's bit.ly/build your online brand. I think you have the link in the information box wherever on YouTube too. We would love to
It is.
have you. We are gonna have a really good time. Really good time.
Um, Tell us, before we go
Mhm.
any further, who is a good candidate for this program and who is not a good candidate for this program?
A person who is curious. Okay, so you if you have sat back, seen digital entrepreneurship happening and thought, "I have no idea what do I even do to I don't know. Somebody do something. Somebody cut through the noise and make it simple." If you are like, "I have something, but I don't know how to make it more visible. Like, I don't know how to get more people to know what I have to offer so that I can generate some income." If you are even if you think, nobody I don't have anything. I wanna do it, but there's nothing that I have to bring to the table, to the marketplace, of value. um, you are a great candidate. If you're a Black woman, Marissa and I are very much like ease-minded, healing-minded business people. Um, and so we're going to be talking about it from that lens. I'm listening to a book right now on my Audible, and it's a white man, and it's an old book. And when I tell you, my brain, like, it's good information mixed with like absolutely like system-based pull yourself up, and I'm like, "What is this? Oh my god." You kinda have to, like, cut out all of that. We're not gonna be talking to you from that vantage point. We're gonna talking to you from the vantage point that we have, Marissa and I, have moved ourselves from, which is very similar to probably where you are. If you like things to be simple, if you actually want to leave a workshop with um, something that you can implement as opposed to just a bunch of notes that you can't implement, it's for you. Beginner
Mhm.
friendly, simple, cut through the noise. If you're like, do I have anything to offer? How is everybody else doing this? Where do I even start? We're gonna help you.
Okay. All right. Who is it not for?
Mm. If you like complicated six-figure capitalist ways of showing up, we're not for you. If you want to stay in a 9 to 5 and you do not want to be an entrepreneur or a digital, make money online, it is not for you. Um, if you hmm, I was gonna say if you're not like a healing-minded person, if you believe that struggle is how you will show up, then it's probably going to feel contrast to how you wanna show up in the world because we're not going to aim you in a direction of struggle. We're gonna tell
Okay.
you that your story matters. Your story is part of your brand, and you get to create something that feels aligned and still make money. So if it's gonna be hard to hear a more easeful way, if it's gonna be hard, like this conversation we've been having, right? If it's gonna be hard to hear somebody say, "Oh, okay, Rashida, you have trauma and you don't wanna go into a 9 to 5 or you don't wanna work a hybrid," we're fine with that. If you're gonna feel like, "Absolutely not, go get a job," yeah, then it's gonna be hard because you're not gonna be receptive to anything we're saying, and receptiveness and curiosity is part of it, is part of it. You have to be willing to believe that this thing can happen, and I know for me, a lot of my block back in the day was the messaging I got was artists don't make money. And when I
Mhm.
say artists, I was told artists like paint and, like actual mixed media art, musicians and that kind of stuff. But when I say artists now, I mean creation. A person who goes on the inside of themselves, says, "What do I have to bring to the marketplace?" and create something with it. I was told that person doesn't make money. The only way to make money was to plug into a system. And so that I had to change that because we do, and there's evidence and continually building evidence of Black women artists who
Mhm.
create something and we are generating income. So if
Yeah.
if that's gonna be hard for you to hear, and if you wanna come in and tussle about that, yeah, no, I
Okay.
can't do that.
Uh, when I leave your workshop, will I have to post every day on social media?
No, 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 no.
Okay.
No, you don't have to
Okay.
post every day. I love posting every day though. Don't listen, do that.
Mhm.
I just be up posting. I have a good time. Um, social media is my happy place. But no, the client that I just told you about, that was her thing. Like she was doing a lot of content that wasn't getting her to the result that she wanted. And so that's where I started with her. I was like, "Okay, I'm seeing you out here putting these things up. How's that working for you?" And she was like, "It's not. I'm just doing it because I thought that's what you were supposed to be doing." And I was like, "Okay, no." So, we got clear on why she was doing what she was doing, who she was talking to. That was a big one for her. Who are you talking to? Where are these people? Why are you putting up this thing over here in a podcast? Like all these things over there, and they're not there. So we figured out where her people were. Turns out they were on LinkedIn. Okay, which is not a platform that I love, but her people were on LinkedIn. And it turned out that she was doing a lot of video content and it felt like struggle to her to show up on the
Mhm.
videos. It felt like, ugh. And I was like, you kind of don't have to do that. So the posts for her that went viral were images and text on the right platform with a change of mindset. With less effort. Like, I was like, "You're all over the place, but you're not getting what you want, so then just don't do it." And it was hard for her because that mindset of like, "But Black women go from like this hyper vigilant version of working in the system. They can often, I'm gonna say we because I do it, we bring that same energy over to our own things often. And in some ways, it's a good thing because, that energy helps us get stuff done. But that struggle, hustle, hustle, hustle energy can show up in your own thing as well. I had to change her mind, which is what she said to me. She was like, "There's something about what you said on the call that made me realize, oh, I'm cranking out all this content and it's not working. If I pull back and I'm a lot more
Mhm.
focused, maybe this will get me to the thing I'm trying to do." And that's what listen, I was even shocked. When she was like, "Go to LinkedIn." I went and I was like, "Very good." And she goes, "Scroll down." And I was like, "Oh my God." And she's she was like, "I am in my analytics. It is a wild." She's like, "Man, notifications everywhere." And I was like, "That's cute. Are people going to your thing?" Like, are you
Mhm.
getting to the helping the human part? And for the first time, she was. So no, I'm not gonna tell there's no one size fit all way of showing up. If somebody wants to know how to post every day, I can tell you how to post every day, and I can tell you how to look like you're posting every day when you're not. That is my specialty.
Okay. Got some feedback that the link might not be working, but I don't know anything about that. Let's see. Let's see if it works when I clickety click on it. And someone asked if I can put it in the description. It's already in the description. So if I take that out, I put a period on the end. Maybe that's messing it up. We're gonna press save, and then we're gonna try this. Walk with me, y'all. The link is working for me, so try it again now. Oh, and Amina already got her ticket, so
Oh, yay!
it's working. Maybe you need to
Yay!
type in a new window. Um, okay, let's switch gears for a bit. Let's talk about the Great Lock-in since you brought it up earlier.
You gotta tell me more about this
Are you
because
participating?
I don't okay, the first and only person that I heard say it was Stephanie, and I messaged Stephanie. I said, "Why am I hearing I'm on TikTok incessantly. Why am I hearing about TikTok stuff from Stephanie, who ain't on TikTok?" So you tell me what it is because all I know is what she said in her video.
It's people, and I don't know if it's mostly Black women, but I know my algorithm is mostly Black women, so I'm only seeing Black women talk about it. Deciding that they are going to spend September through December committed to goals. We're not waiting until January. And whatever, like there's no specific goal, but whatever it is that they decide they want to do, they're going to lock in on it for those. That's 4 months. Yes, those 4 months.
Love it.
Um, love it. Okay.
Love it.
Yeah,
I do an annual planning retreat at the end of the year, and I hold accountability calls with the planning retreat participants all year long. I'm 100% about focusing on our things. Love it.
mhm. I will say that I decided that um, I'm doing a quasi version of 75 hard. I say quasi because I think that man might be one of them.
I've
But 70, I
never
went to the
I've
75
never gotten
guys
into
website.
75 hard because it has the word hard in it.
Right. So I'm doing my 75.
Okay.
I went to his website and there was
Is there
some like
75 easy?
America is the greatest stuff on the website. And I was
Let me
like
look.
backing
Don't
out
you
slowly.
hate when you find that out? Like you're in there
What's
loving
it
this
got to do
person.
with us being our best selves? Why? What are you doing?
Now let me
Ew.
say this. My
Anywho, though.
discernment is 8,000%
Mhm,
because it doesn't happen to me that
mhm.
often. I was picking up the vibes of people all these years. It's a rare occasion that I find somebody that I really genuinely enjoyed is one of them, but it has happened a couple times, and it's like, "Come on."
No, so I didn't. It wasn't that I generally enjoyed him. It was that I kept hearing about the concept, and I was like and then someone said the founder's name, and I was like, now that I know the founder's name, let me go make sure he's not a Nazi. And well, well, because I'm not
I'm
gonna be
looking him
on
up
the internet
now.
claiming I'm doing a thing. If I have, like, I need to do. If I can do the little, sometimes you can't do that little background research. Once I saw his name, I was like, clickety click. I've seen enough. Anyhow, so I funny things happening in the comments. Nichelle says the goals can be anything from starting a business to learning a language to reading a set number of books. It's literally locking in on anything. Kim posted about it yesterday with her Gen X thoughts, and Gen X thoughts are the best thoughts. So thank you very much. Stephanie says she recommends quitting before Thanksgiving, though. And Amina says the planner girl's been doing it for a minute. We love a plan. Baby, Amina is not a planner girl. Amina is a planner psychopath. So we're not even going to take what she says. We're going to ignore this.
I'm a big
Okay.
planner too, so I don't know.
But I decided, well, I found out when I came back from my last trip. My last trip was in Canada. And there were 75 days between my last trip to Canada, my last trip out of the country, and the start of Exodus Summit. And I was like, we're doing 75 something, baby, right? There's 75 days in between. Because let me tell you, once the summit starts and post summit, I'm going to be on that bullshit. I'm not locking into nothing. I'm telling y'all now, there's no motivation, no get up and do nothing. There's nothing. I'm locked out, right? Starting October.
The great lockout? The great
October
sat
10th
down? The great sat down
to
somewhere?
maybe next July. I don't know. I am locked out. But
You know what though, Rashida? When I do the planning retreat, I do it in December. And we do our accountability calls, and I kid you not, it is not uncommon for the first 3 months of the year, Jan, Feb, March. People come on them calls and they be like, "Girl, I was asleep." And I tell people, I'm like, "Winter is for resting." They pick up in April, and I think that's normal and natural.
No. So I have all these different goals. Some of them are really just to counter perimenopause because she be fighting me in my sleep, right? Like I'm really eating clean. I am working out. The gym workout I had the weighted workout I had yesterday.
You know what I didn't know about you that I found out with like
What?
yoga?
Oh yeah.
You're like
I
a
used to be
whole
yeah.
yeah.
I have yoga accounts on other sites of the internet.
I think I saw a picture of you somewhere in a yoga position or a hands girl. I was like, what kind of strong body?
Yeah. I have I think 4 yoga mats in this apartment right now. When is the last time I have rolled one of them out? That's not what we're talking about. Right? Listen, Love T Soul says the great tap out
The
is normally
great
my
tap
sleep.
out.
I love it. I
The
will
great
say
sat
that
down somewhere.
eating clean, this is going to sound terrible. Mute me right now, please, because you don't need to hear this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Eating clean and being in the gym lifting heavy weights 2 to 4 times a week, it's doing the work they say it does. And I hate that for us. I hate that for us because I would like to tap out as well. But baby, it has been working. And I'm like, when I first thought it'd be 75 days, I thought I was going to travel around Mexico because every year I'm like, I want to see more of Mexico, but I'm always leaving the country doing something else. But I was like, if I travel around Mexico, I'm going to be eating croissants at like 7 a.m. before I hop on the bus. And then I'm going to be on a bus all day. Like it doesn't align with the goals I have that are kind of for my body, but also kind of for my mental health and making it through this phase of life. And so I decided I wasn't going to do any of that traveling in Mexico, except when Halisi and Rick come to Querétaro, I'm going there to see them. That's the only thing I'm doing. But yeah, so I've been clean eating. I've been exercising. I've been reading.
What?
Ugh.
What's wrong with reading? I just got a book from the library yesterday. I love reading.
So if you talk to most lawyers, they will be like, no, thank you. Like law school broke us for
You're
most
contracted
of us.
out.
Law school just broke us. It's like, I can't read it. I'm reading words on a page for pleasure. It's like what we talked about before, doing the thing. I used to be a voracious reader as a child, right? I started reading for work, and now I'm like, no, thank you. But I'm reading one of my favorite books again. So that's like rereading a book that I already know has been good. I'm studying Spanish every day, trying to get 30 minutes of Spanish
Muy
in 5
bien.
days a week. Yeah. So like I'm the kind of person that if I want to stick to something, I have to do it every day. If I take, or like some things I'm doing 5 days a week, some things I'm doing like I work out in the gym 4 days a week, and the other 3 days I go for a walk or do something else, or supposed to be yoga, but no yoga. And so that I need to have that everyday thing. So the great lock-in, the concept of the great lock-in, which I won't, the timing doesn't align for me, but the concept really, really works for me. And I'm hoping those of you that have a goal that you'd like to accomplish by the end of the year, lock in on that goal, right? Lock in on whatever you got going on, because it works if you work it. And I hate that, because who want to work?
Yeah,
Who?
I need to find the, like, genesis of the thought, like, whoever the person was that put the original video up, because I like to hear that, so I'll have to dig that up. I think I'm not gonna say that I'm necessarily participating in the great lock-in, but I am gonna say that I'm already doing that. Like,
Okay. In what
for
ways?
my
Tell us.
in my life, like, girl, if I told y'all what was going on back here. Okay, um,
What you locked in? Give us something.
um well, let's just say this. Okay, so I have a major depressive disorder diagnosis. I've been diagnosed 3 times by 3 mental health professionals. Last time was against my will. Okay, I went for ADHD evaluation, and they were like, "You don't have ADHD, but you have a hella high IQ and you have major depressive disorder." Nobody asked you. I didn't ask you for major depressive disorder again.
Sliding and drugs.
Like, why are
Like,
you telling me that? I know. I came in here to find out if I got the ADA-HADA, the ADHD. Okay, and apparently I don't have it. So whatever. So, because of that, I have had to be extremely intentional so that what y'all get is this happy pineapple Rushni and
mhm.
not depression burrito. Oh no, not
Mm.
this again. Let me just go, work the system until the conveyor belt ends me. Like that version of me, I have a low mood. I have a mood disorder. I have a low mood. So when you say like lock in, I'm like, girl, I've been living locked in because, like you said, unfortunately, when you don't work the work works when you work it. But when you don't work, I go off the edge. And it really is annoying because who wants to? So when I tell you I am intense. There is water in here. There is tea from Green Heifer Farms. Every day, I got pre-brewed tea from Green Heifer Farms in here. I mix this, I mix water, I mix electrolytes, and I have a green drink. I have all my vitamins. Stephanie got me on this sea moss from Black Girl Vitamins. I'm trying to figure out if this sea moss is why perimenopause stopped whipping me all to and fro because before I was taking the sea moss, I had lost my bloody mind. Okay.
Mm.
I wake up every morning, I go immediately into a stretch flow. You know why? Because I'm gonna be 50 next
Ooh.
year, and my back and my knees say, "You gotta go into a stretch flow." I also have a child that's 80 pounds who can't walk, and I have to pick him up. So Rushni does a whole morning stretch flow, first thing out the bed,
Mhm.
all right? I am doing affirmations. I have a whole morning routine that is beyond social media. I was telling people on my live on Friday, y'all don't even exist until I want y'all to exist. I get up and I am peaceful and quiet. I am doing affirmations and stretches. I am watering plants. I'm getting dressed. I'm putting on a little something so that when I look in the mirror, I see Rushni because I went through that phase where I was looking in the mirror and some other lady was looking at back at me. And I was like, who are you? You look depressed. You know what I mean? And I am peaceful. And as far as I could tell, when I come in this office with my intentional cup of coffee with electrolytes in it, okay, um, and Brazil nuts because there's selenium in it, and selenium helps with collagen production. Okay.
Ooh.
And I look outside
Okay.
the window, it looks like everybody's okay. It looks like the world hasn't blown up. There's no orange
Mhm.
Voldemort in my consciousness. I'm just listening to the birds. And I'm very intentional with that. I'm writing in my book. If I see something that's hideous and I don't like it, I change it to make it pretty. I have my rest deck next to me in a beautiful holder because beauty, like things matter. My lip
Mhm.
glosses are I can't pick it up because there's too many. I have a little tiny I love old typewriters, and so I got a little tiny old typewriter from actually, I will pick it up. They're all around it. From like, I make things beautiful on purpose. This is where my lip glosses are sitting,
Oh, that's
right? So that's what
pretty.
I'm saying. I'm very intentional. I'm locked in, and the reason why I'm locked in who was it? Was it Mike Tyson that says he takes his medication so he don't off everybody? The reason I'm locked in is because that's the Rushni y'all wanna that's the Rushni I wanna be for me. First of all, it have nothing to do with y'all first. That's the Rushni I want to be. I don't wanna be
Mhm.
the depressed, eating things I shouldn't be eating, not hydrated, can't think straight, snapping at everybody, neglecting myself version of me. That's like, "Boohoo, boohoo, why isn't this working?" So, you're right. I mean, I work the things. I'm very intentional. The second person I'm trying to make sure this is for is my kid. I told you I got a kid with special needs, and, I gotta make sure that he's getting the best me. So that's why I agree with you where you're just like, "Ugh, I have to do the things." But they work
Do the
when
thing.
you do them.
They do.
They
They
do.
do. Kim says Black women are always locked in, just not locked in on ourselves, and that is,
Well, where's my fan?
listen,
My God, my God. My God on today.
listen.
Mm-mm-mm.
Yes, 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 and we're gonna do better. And as a community, we're gonna do better. So lock in
We
on
have to do
yourself.
better because this is the season, Rashida, that is showing us
Mhm.
what we already knew, which is ain't nobody got a Black woman back like a Black woman. And I'm not saying that to be, like, fatalistic. I'm saying that to be, like, in a season of transition as we create something beautiful for us and those that come in the future, right? We're choosing to be incredible ancestors, right? Like, we are somebody's ancestors right now, but I also don't want us to neglect ourselves and just go from helping everybody in the present to helping everybody in the future, and we still don't have it. I get to have beauty now. I get to have peace now. I get to have ease now. I get to have joy now. And so we will lock in on everybody except ourselves. I love the idea of finally taking our focus off of the messaging that we consistently get, which is to be the capital in capitalism, and take the value that we inherently have for self and build on that value first because we will notice that that's the life that we love. And then you have something to give to other people. I can't give, I told
Mhm.
people the other day, I was like, a lot of us are on fumes and then we're trying to pour out fumes on people. And this is literally the same analogy I did because I had the same coffee cup. I'm not supposed to pour from this cup. Because you know what's in this cup? This nasty stuff at the bottom of the cup. You trying to pour your fumes on me, boo boo. I don't want them. I want a full Rashida. Okay, so that when I come to Rashida, Rashida can give me her overflow. And I'm like, Black women, we got to stop taking the messaging of a system that tells us don't know who you are, don't know what you want, work. You have value, but only when it's for somebody else's gain. And we have to learn,
Mhm.
no, no, we are valuable. I believe that we are closer to the divine than most. I think science has started to prove that with things like the Eve gene. That's just me and my little situation. And I think we know that. And I think that we have forgotten it. And I think a lot of people now there's like a collective understanding that we're like waking up. And I think this is just part of it. I do. I mean, I might be
Mhm.
wrong. Like I always tell people, I'm like, I don't know. I'm just a almost 50-year-old woman on the internet obsessed with pineapples because like so you don't have to listen to me. But I do think that we need to lock in on self first. And from that, we overflow onto all the other people. Whether it's you're an entrepreneur, you're taking a break in a sabbatical, you stack your papers and then you go to Portugal, you run your own business, you lock in on your health, no matter what it is we're so many of us are on fumes and we're applauded for it. That's the other thing. You gotta find people who are gonna tell you you can find people who will tell you to stay on fumes. You will find people who will tell you to serve everybody else and call it sacrifice and tell you that it's positive. I'm not saying that it's not positive, but I am saying that you have to now turn yourself to a community of human beings who's going to give you the messaging to create the life that you love. And that's not always going to be the people you were listening to before because honestly, the reason you got in that situation in the first place is you was listening to them. I always tell Kamani always likes when I say check the tree before you pick the fruit. I had to literally learn that there were a lot of people in my life who love me. Oh, they love me. And I had to look at their lives and be like, but do I want what they created?
Mm.
Is their advice getting me to what I want? And I was like, that was a hard pill for me to
Can you?
swallow. Say it again.
I'm going to be a little messy here.
Go ahead.
Can you name anyone? I'm not asking for anyone close to you, just generally
Hmm.
in the world, that you used to listen to, but you now realize ain't for you.
Church folk.
Okay.
That is
All
that
right.
that's not the first person that came to my mind, but I decided to protect the innocent. Um, I will say that my journey with Christian doctrinal construct, like the way that it is expressed here in Missouri, has changed dramatically. And
The
I
way
had to
it's changed
step
or your relationship with it has changed.
my relationship with it has changed. My relationship with it has
Okay.
changed. I didn't grow up here. I grew up in the Caribbean, right? I started going to church here when I was in my 20s, and I was a solid churchgoer for 20 years. And I always joke around and say God had to pry me out of that church because when the pandemic first started, I was going to be the first one kicking the door in. I could not believe I couldn't get up in there. Okay. I was ready to get back up. And I went on a journey at the beginning of the pandemic. And ironically, this is gonna sound really weird, but it's true, so Imma say it. I was reading my Bible every single day. I still read the Bible every single day. Reading that Bible every single day is what changed my relationship with the construct of westernized church, because
Hmm.
I started to notice that there was a misalignment with what was in this book coming out the mouth of Jesus versus what was happening in the spaces and what I was being told. And I just started to think my own thoughts without, you know what I mean? And so it's a long, short story, but absolutely. I don't necessarily just clock on to some of my favorite people that used to be speaking into my life with wild abandon and take what they say as gospel, pun intended, because I don't want what they have. And it's hard to say
Yeah.
sometimes because there are some people who, when I tell you I would listen to them, I would go to them intentionally and try to learn how to create something more beautiful in this life. And it was like it unraveled a bit. So there's a lot more discernment because I have to be a lot more clear on what I'm trying to create. And unfortunately, the messaging coming out of many of the spaces that I used to consider to be spaces that I trusted and that I took their advice with no consideration, I no longer want what they have. Does that make
That's
sense? So
amazing.
like, yeah, it's hard and it's heartbreaking. You know, I had a friend who and I love her. She's one of my closest friends, like physically. And we had a conversation about something like this because, you know, she's one of those like she still goes to church, she's still very active. And, you know, the mindset is like, I'm backsliding, I'm being like lost. So she has to save me. And one day in one of those sessions of conversation, I said to her, have you ever thought to ask me if I'm grieving the loss of the community that I thought was my church family, as opposed to slanging scriptures at me? And she said, "Huh, no, no, I never thought that." And I was like, "'Cause it's hard. It's
Hmm.
hard to have a whole set of humans that you basically spent 20 years of your life. I'm in their weddings, they're in my weddings, they're in my pictures, they did my wedding, they travel with me, they slept in my house, like, I lived with these people." And I'm like, it's there's a heartbreak, and you're so adamant about this that you're not adamant about that. And that was beautiful because she's a friend and she was able to receive that information. But no, I do not that's one of the many places. And that's what I mean about like understanding who you are and what you're actually trying to create with your own one lived life. Because
Hmm.
there's a me, maybe last year, maybe even I wouldn't have even said this to you. You would have asked me that question and I would have came up with some because I would have still been
Hmm.
like, girl, I would have came, listen, I would have, girl, I haven't seen you. But I'm like, no, I can say that with as much peace as possible because I
Yeah.
see the difference now between the relationship I have with the divine is not the same as, do you go do this church thing? They're 2 different things in my brain now, whereas before they were one thing. So I don't
Mhm.
necessarily just listen. I discern.
Right.
I'll listen to
Okay.
somebody and, like, parse through what they say and take the what is it? Jim Rohn, who he's problematic in his own way, but he says, don't be a follower, be a student." And what he means by that is don't just pick somebody and just do what they say. Go to them, sit at their feet, take your notes, and use what is useful and get rid of what is not useful. You know? And
Mhm.
that's how I show up in my life because I am trying to create something specifically for Rushni that feels aligned with, like, who I am and what I'm here to do. And in that specific space, there's a lot of stuff now where I'm just like, "Yeah, I don't want that. Yeah, I don't want that either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want that."
I escaped the church pretty early and easily.
Escaped is the word, escaped. Well, continue.
West Indian, so you
You said
know,
I said what I had said, girl. Go
I
ahead.
said what I had said. My grandmother was the most religious person I know, but she was one of those, her God was very vengeful
Mhm.
and cruel
Mhm.
and unkind. And even at like 9, I was I don't think so. like, yeah, I'm gonna go to church with you because you have not given me a choice. And the pastor gonna come over after church and you gonna cook up this chicken for him, and he gonna be here all day. Sunday, listen, from like 7 something a.m. to let's call it 9 p.m. Church past every Sunday. I get it. But I was like, your God just don't make sense. He just don't make sense. Like,
I love that that
here's
was
the
going through your
thing.
mind at 9. I was checked
Your
out,
God don't make
girl.
sense to me. Like, girl, like, you know, things where I was like, so there's that. So it was your God doesn't make sense. And also, um, things like logistically did not make sense to me. Cause like, what do you mean if I was born in India, right? And therefore was not Christian, I'm automatically going to hell. Like that don't make sense. That does not make sense to me. And that was at that age. I remember once we were having a conversation once about how like if you're like saved and you're married to someone who isn't saved, you're going to hell. If you wore pants, you're going to hell. If you drank alcohol, you're going. It was a lot of hell, 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 hell. And I remember asking her once, like this was the limit for me. I asked her once, like if you were born of parents who weren't saved, you were going to hell. And I was like, so like if a baby like passes away right after they're born and they don't have an opportunity to like get right with your God, they just go to hell because their parents aren't saved. And she was like, yes. And I was like, no, I don't buy it.
Yeah, what you're
I can't.
describing is part of the dissonance that I had to
Mm-mm.
wrestle with in adulthood, which is let me
Mm-mm.
see, 'cause these are thoughts I've had in my head, so I've never really said them aloud, but let me see if I could say this. There's a natural understanding of humanity that we seem to come into the world with as children, like you pointed out when it came to, like, looking for the easy way to do it. I think that a child would never say, "A baby's going to hell." Those sorts of things it just seems obvious, right? A child would never come out naturally and think empathy is a bad thing, or all of these other things that are being purported out of spaces. These are things that are learned. They're taught to us. And so because they're taught to us, it means that 1, they are not natural from the divine, and 2, the person who is teaching it to us can have a reason they're trying to shape our thoughts that way. Often when I see specifically Black women in systems like church spaces, there's never any consciousness of why is all this messaging so rule based? to keep us in
Mhm.
line and to, like, keep us anesthetized. And that was what happened to me. It was like I stood outside of it and thought, "No, if you just say that aloud without the context of, I was told to think this, I was told to believe this, I was told to whatever, that's not right." And it was like, and it's not right. It doesn't matter if somebody has taught me for a decade or 2 or 3 how to contort it, like how to
Mhm.
bend my brain. I had to when I tell you it was an unraveling, which me and God was over here like this, and he was like, "Let it go. Come at it. Yeah." And I was just like, "No, that's what they've told me. I believe it.
Mhm.
Holiness is the," I was
Mhm.
there. And it was just like, "But do you hear it though? It's
Mhm.
like it was like my brain was like, it's obviously not me." It was like there was a voice in my head saying, "That's not me." And I was like, "That's impossible because everybody thinks it's you and it's what we've learned and I've memorized the things." And it's like, but that's, you can hear it. Like you don't deprogram yourself almost. That's not the word. So, yes, I am so impressed that you even had those thoughts going through your mind as a child because I didn't. I told you dissociation was my coping mechanism of choice. Okay, I was checked out. I think when I was a child, then people could have picked me up and put me on any conveyor belt and I would have went down it. I don't know. I don't know where she was. Okay, she was just trying to be safe in her brain. Okay, I checked out to be safe. And it wasn't until I got into that specific space where I was alone with my Bible and my thoughts that I could think them, and I was doing work in other places that was freeing me from, like, the conversation we're talking about making money and freeing me from all these other things, that I was like, "Hmm, that don't make sense.
That
Wait
makes
a minute.
sense.
What is that? Do y'all hear this?" And then you try to engage conversation with people and ask them, and often they don't have an answer, or the answer is just a contortion of thought, like a dissonance that I'm not willing to agree with
Yes.
them with, or
Mhm.
it's like a catch-all. The catch-all is just like, "Well, don't lean onto your own understanding." None of us understand that. Like, I know it doesn't make sense, but remember, don't lean onto your own understanding. And my thought is, why would I why are you guys, "Hey, guys. Hey, I love you guys. Why are we following something where systemically there was a benefit to the people that taught us this for us to not lean onto our understanding?" You know what I mean? Like that, my brain went there. So
Mhm.
like you doing it as a kid is impressive to me because I was decades in. And I will go back to my church because I'm still, at the church I went to, and I'll go for events or like if somebody wants to go for like, whatever.
Mhm.
Um and it's such a different experience when I'm sitting in there now, which is why it was
Yeah.
the answer for, like, check the tree before you pick the fruit, because I'll sit there and I'm hearing things entirely differently. It's like I'm having a conversation in my head with God, or what my perception is of God with the divine, and all this other stuff is happening around me, and I'm just sitting there thinking, "I don't I don't have this
Mm.
experience the same way." And in some ways, Rashida, it's sad. Part of me wishes that I was able to experience it the way I was experiencing it before, but I can't,
Mhm.
like, I can't. So, and that,
'Cause
I
you
think
lost
that's
your
just a
community.
journey. Say it again?
Yeah. I said you lost your community. It's like you lost a part of yourself when you left or
I
when you
lost not
distanced.
just that, you lose a prepackaged belief system that you don't have to
Mhm.
come up with on your own,
Mhm.
right? And that's easier. This goes back to our conversation about, like, should you get a 9 to 5? Okay, like, ain't nothing wrong with a 9 to 5. Okay, 9 to 5 is stable. Well,
Mhm.
stable. You know what I mean? Stable. There's a paycheck coming every 2 weeks. It's prepackaged, you know? My nephew told me when I asked him if he wanted to do UGC content stuff and make money doing videos, that he told me no. My nephew in his 20s, he was like, "No, Auntie Rushni, what you doing look hard. I want to get up every morning and have somebody tell me where to be, when to be there, and what to do." It's the same thing. Like, you don't have to have a spiritual practice or create, even explore a relationship with a divine that is unique. You get a
Mhm.
prepackaged way of doing it. That part I miss. Oh, it was great. It's just like, do these things, check the boxes, and get the prizes. And I was very much adherent to that in my work choices. I was adherent to that in all the choices, right? And so coming out from outside of like traditional constructs that are prepackaged and handed to you is a hard thing to do because it's easier to just be told, do this, do that, and do the other, which is why I would never knock somebody who is in a 9 to 5, back to our conversation, because I understand the how hard it is to be a trailblazer and like come up with your own unique thing.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
harder.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Anyway,
Um, for me, with my grandma, there was a lot of moments where I was like, you can't expect me to think on my own all day long and then buy this bullshit you're selling me. Like, I don't, like, we can't. You got to choose one or the other. The blind obedience to anything I hear in the world, right? Or like some thinking things like, if you drink alcohol, you're going to hell. If you're married to someone who's going to hell,
you was
you're
really
going to hell.
hearing all this going to hell when you was growing up? Gracious, man.
Yeah, girl, yes, absolutely.
I know.
You wear pants as a woman, you're going
I
to
grew up
hell.
Methodist. I get we were hearing, like, the going to hell messaging, but I guess the Methodist life I grew up, the, like, Gen X Methodist growing up in the Virgin Islands, it was going to hell, but it wasn't as adamant. Like, you
Grandma said, if you wear pants as a woman, you are going to hell. And I was like, I feel like God has other stuff to worry about, but okay, all right. But so, okay, so if you drink alcohol, you're going to hell. If you're married to someone who's going to hell, you're going to hell. My grandpa was down on the stoop drinking a beer right now as you're saying this. The man you're married to is drinking alcohol. So are you going to hell? And she would be like, no, that's different. Tell me
Yeah,
more.
there's a dis
Wasn't
that's
no
what I'm
more
saying about
ever.
the dissonance. There's
It's
a
yes, that's
dissonance, and I
exactly
had to
it, right?
wrestle
If
with
you have
that
a
too
child out of
because
wedlock, right? You have a child out of wedlock, you're going to hell. She had a child out of wedlock, but it's different for her. And I was like,
that's what I'm saying
it
about
feels
this,
like
like,
control.
Ver
Yes.
exact it a
Yes.
version in
Mhm.
those spaces, I believe that I don't know if people did it with intention, I don't know what people are doing. I was
Mhm.
modeled and taught that there is a performative layer of me, and that's what I'm curating. There's a performative layer of me. I
Mm.
need to look
Okay.
like I'm not doing it. I need to look like I need to and make sure I'm like keeping everybody else in rules. There's like a surface level version of me, but like under the hood. You know what I mean? Like I'm friends with the pastors of this space. Okay. I got their phone numbers in my phone. We friends. I'm friends with their family. I'm in the inner. And like in here, we all just being regular, but the messaging
Mhm.
is, but out there, make sure you don't, you don't the flock don't see the thing. And then it doesn't hurt that part. So like there's a version of it that we're supposed to everybody's showing a version of themselves to everybody else. Right? And I'm just like,
Right.
why can't we integrate and just be us? And then the other thing that happened later, more recently, is I'm an intellectual. I'm really nerdy. I like to, I like a good brain tickling conversation. And because of all of this stuff with like reading my Bible and like asking questions and like digging into stuff and just getting very curious about this book that is supposed to be the sacred text that I actually believe, right? I realized that, like, there were so many things in this book that I had questions or, like, made my brain go, "Mer?" And then coming to find out that a lot of people who go, because I speak to a lot of, like, people who went to theology school. I'm the person who, when I have a question, I'm looking for, like, I'm going to, like, theologians. I'm going to, like, who speaks Coptic? I'm trying to understand what the rootity root of this is, right? Like, I'm in there.
Mhm.
So there is such a large percentage of people who go to theology school and lose their religion. Did you know that?
Mhm.
It's like the
Mhm.
theology school to atheist or agnostic, which I'm not that. I haven't gone that far. And that listen, if they got there, everybody's like they get to live that. That's their life. But they're so I was like, the go to theology school, pop the hood open, see what's underneath this hood, lose your religion pipeline is wild work. I was having a
Mhm.
conversation with a theology professor one time about the Amalekites and us. It was a whole thing. Okay. And he was going back and forth with me. He was a great time. Like I asked the question, my friend tagged her brother, who is a theology professor, and we are chippity chipping back and forth. I'm having a good old time. Okay. I'm like a paganish, right? And that man said flat out to me, first of all, you were asking incredible questions that most people don't ask. Second of all, some of the stuff that you're pointing out, you're right. That's not what it means. None of us knows what it means. And some of this stuff I think is just the way that ancient humans imagined God would be, and it's not the God that I choose to worship. What? So and when I tell you that was the most satisfying answer anybody had ever given me, that man said,
Mhm.
"Ma'am, this conversation is great. You are correct. You are saying it without the dissonance." That is exactly what it says. It says right here that with absolutely no impetus to go do it, no provocation whatsoever, go in there and off everybody. What? And that's God sanctioned. And something in you says that's wrong. I do believe that's wrong. And he was like, I also believe that's wrong. Unfortunately, I think that's the best ancient people could do. And it's also not the God I choose to worship. And I never forgot that conversation because I was like, bet. So there's a lot, and I would never be prescriptive to anybody about their journey with anything, their business journey, their life journey, their relationship journey, their spiritual journey. I would never. I would never. Um, but I also do not adhere to anybody that is prescriptive to me anymore. And I know that that's a hard thing. Like, even I know there's people who could be listening to this video and be like, "What, Rashmi?" And I'm just like, "That's where I'm at." So, yeah, I mean, I know we kinda veered off into this space, and it's a conversation that I feel is very personal, but no, I don't I'm not there anymore, and I don't think there will be a version of my life where I am there anymore because I don't like the results. They also don't feel aligned with the words of Jesus in this book, right?
Mhm.
Part of me often thinks, I wish more of us read this book. I wish more of us focused on what we say we actually believe as Christians, right? Christ followers. And I wish that our church now that I'm doing, not have done, now that I am doing the studying that I've been doing for years, I wish that our church services were more like classrooms and not necessarily what they've become, which is one person up there pontificating about what they think it means, and then like a
Mhm.
concert. And listen, I don't say that with any negativity because the concert was my favorite part. Okay. Rashida, do you hear me?
Mhm.
I was
I
when you are in a church, when I am in a church now, the lady in the back with her own flags, with her shoes off in her church clothes, dancing across the back of the church, it's me. The concert's my favorite part. Okay. Praise and worship me. But I'm just saying, I wish we were all like learning, studying to be approved, like the book says, so that we don't show up with these like things that people have just handed to us that aren't actually this. I don't know if that makes sense. But it's
Mhm.
not, you don't
It
find a
does.
lot of spaces like that.
Mhm. So to close this section out, when I asked you what you people you listen to, you don't listen to anymore, I was just gonna say Oprah. Like, here you go. And we have a 30-minute conversation about the church.
Well, I mean,
Oprah
you
is
asked,
one.
and I had
Yeah,
one
I did.
person in my
No, no,
mind, and
I
I was
did.
like, eh.
I did. I'm just thinking about how different those answers are of the people that like you thought were for you, and now maybe through no fault of their own, you wake up to being like, no, it's
You
not.
know,
I'm not
I
all the way
I
there.
don't ascribe negative intent to any person. If somebody listening to
Right.
this video perchance
Oh,
and they
I do.
like got up in the church with me and they're like, "Rashni, how could you? I love you, and I do believe that you have my best interest at heart." I'm just
Mhm.
saying that the way that you see the world and the way that I see the world have shifted. They've evolved. And so the
Yes.
only the only, advice you're gonna be able to give me is how to create what you are creating. And I just, just contemplate that it might not be what I want. And that's it. And that's okay. Because the only advice I'm going to be able to give you is how to create what I am creating. And if that's not what you want, then I'm misaligned. And that's okay. Like, that's the thing that a lot of
Um,
us have to learn. It's like the 9 to 5 versus career break versus entrepreneur versus should I do a hybrid of both conversation that we had, right? Like, I'm never going to be like, Rashida, you got to go get you a good job. I'm not going to do it because Rashida, I'm going to listen to Rashida tell me that's not me. And I'll be like, bet. I'm never gonna prescribe my way of doing it on another person. I have lived that life of like, my job
mhm,
is to my job is to be perceived as adhering to rules and then walk around being an overseer for everybody else and making sure they're adhering to the rules too, so that our struggle matters. I'm
mhm.
off it. I don't want it. Like y'all can have it. I don't want it. I'm doing something else. And so
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of where my brain went. But I know you didn't mean to go there, but you asked the
No,
question.
no, it was a great conversation. The audience, I think, enjoyed it. By the way, if you're still watching this, give it a thumbs up, please.
Mhm.
Let the algorithm know you're here. Turn on notifications so that you know when we're live next time. Because this was a good one. But yes, my answer was much simpler. My answer was just like, yeah, that Oprah lady.
You
You got
said
the strong
you were
side
like,
eye. I mean,
"Oprah."
wrong side eye.
I
Um,
know. Mhm.
yeah, you know. Um, do you feel like we did it? You feel like we
Yeah,
covered the topic?
sure. I hope that there is some clarity, and if not, at least the discussion has enlightened you to a thought you've never had before with respect to how you wanna show up in the world and bring value,
Mhm.
create money. Marissa and I would love to have you guys at the workshop on Saturday. If you want a beginner-friendly space for Black women and you think you have something of value that you think can generate income digitally, come join us. I think the
Okay.
link's in the information box. Oh, I saw somebody in the comments earlier ask if you can they won't be able to come live if they can get the replay. Yes, replays are available, and Marissa generously extended the amount of time. Now, don't ask me what the amount of time is, but it's more generous. Okay, so you will have access whether you have the workshop or the workshop and the VIP access. You have replays for a month or two. I think it's longer. It was a few days, and then she made it longer. So yeah, we'd love to have you guys. And thanks for having me, Rashida. This was fun.
Thanks for being here. It was a good time. If you're a member of a membership, we're going to get together in 8 minutes, in 5 minutes. Woo, in 5 minutes to talk about whatever on Zoom. We're going to talk about Rushni.
You gonna talk about what? Me?
Uh-huh.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
kidding. I'm
It's
kidding.
fine.
So
It's okay.
in the membership Zoom sessions, we generally just update each other on what's going on in life. And it's a
Y'all
good
just be
time.
back there kicking it? Okay.
We just be back
Well,
there
if you
kicking
guys
it.
have any feedback, if they say anything about me that you think I could do better, listen, I'm a easeful, tough cookie. Tell me, because 'cause I'm always trying to be a better version of Rushni. That doesn't mean I'm gonna do it though, but I like to hear it. You never know. I might be better.
Stephanie wants me to remind you that you can get your tickets to Exodus Summit 2025 more Move Red Money now, because if you're watching this video, you probably need some money, some
I already got
shmoney.
my
It's
ticket.
time to get it.
Okay. Ain't nobody got
Okay.
time to play.
All right.
Early bird
Tell
pricing.
everybody else to get
Y'all
the
ain't playing. Early bird pricing ends on the
early bird
19th, y'all.
pricing
Get
on
in where you fit
September
in.
9th. Yes, because I know on the 20th, one of y'all's gonna hit us up and be like, hey, here's why I waited to buy my ticket. And we're
It
gonna
ain't
have
gonna
to say, hey, here's the new price.
Okay.
Here's the
It
new
ain't gonna be
price.
me
So
because I
get in
told
on
y'all
the 19th.
I still got my notes from the other one. Still be opening them notes. Still be referencing what y'all told me. Okay, y'all better get in here and get this money.
Listen, it's gonna be a good conversation. We're not talking about pay pigs at this year's summit, as far as I know. But we will have a lot of really solid speakers. A full list will be out in the next few weeks, hopefully before early bird pricing ends. But the pricing ends when it does, regardless. So we gonna be on it. All right, members. See you in about 2 minutes. Everybody else, I will see you guys next week. Rushni, thank you for being such an amazing guest. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
being a friend. I know that your workshop is going to be amazing because you, like Marissa's a powerhouse, you're a powerhouse, two powerhouses together. I just, woo, it's it's going to be a party.
A good time will be
I
had,
know
people.
what was that?
A good time will be had.
Yes, a good time we had. All right, friends. Bye.
Bye.